The following podcast may contain adult language and explicit content. Parental discretion is advised. Hi, my name is Jonathan Mays, and today I want to talk about a very serious subject. I want to talk about a disease that affects millions of people all around the world. Chances are it either affects you personally or someone that you know and love. Currently, there is no cure for this disease. I myself have been suffering from this condition for many years. That's right, I'm talking about the big one, folks. I'm talking about being petty. Do you know that 1 in every 10 people suffers from being petty? There is no cure for being petty, but if you read awareness and seek treatment, you can stop yourself from being a true asshole. Seriously though, if you thought that this show was going to be a very somber and serious episode, psych, it's actually going to be the opposite. It's actually going to be very upbeat. So hit the music and don't forget to go vote.
Johnny, don't eat no sugar. I'm a cookies and I'm gonna get it. Nobody's around to catch me red-handed. I think somebody's coming now. Gotta put the cookies down. Oh. Johnny, yes, Papa. Eating sugar, no, Papa. Telling lies, no, Papa. Open your mouth, Johnny wants some sugar now. Oh yeah. I really want some cookies. Johnny wants some sugar now. Oh yeah. Johnny, yes, Papa. Don't eat no sugar. I want Papa. Are you telling lies? No, Papa. 999. I want candy and I'm gonna get it. No, Papa.
I should make this my permanent theme song for my show. I really like that. But, oh man, that's lit. I just came across that on Facebook. It is Sunday, October 28th. It's, 3 days before Halloween? And you are listening to episode 32 of Johnny Knows Best. This is Johnny Talks About Cancer. And I am going to talk about cancer, but I'm going to talk about a lot of other things. It's not just about that. But thank you for listening. Thank you for everyone that listened to episode 31, Cookies and Bitches, that listened last week or in this past week to episode 31. I really appreciate all the support and everybody that listened and shared that episode. A lot of y'all listened, but a few people shared it, and that's all that I ask. Anybody that listens, if you would just hit the share button on your Facebook or, share it off of Spreaker, I would really appreciate it. Well, today, not just today, but this week has been a very emotional, physically draining week for multiple reasons. It's just been a long week. I'm glad to get back around to Sunday. I'm not looking forward to this upcoming week. It's going to be more of the same, but I did make it from Sunday to Sunday, and I've been trying to relax today and enjoy my day off and go visit my mom and spend some time with her. I'm trying to spend as much time with her as I can for a lot of different reasons, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. But yeah, man, it's been a week, to say the least. I mean, there's been a lot going on this week in the news. A lot of that crazy bomber dude that was sending bombs to everybody. They caught him. He's a crazy Trump supporter. And, reportedly that dude, he used to be a stripper. There's a lot of stuff coming out about that dude, how he used to be a stripper and he was a bodybuilder and he wanted to be a professional wrestler. Now he's just going to probably go to jail for the rest of his life. You would think they would keep somebody like that in prison for the rest of their life, but who knows? Who knows what they're going to do with that guy? But, that guy, he was doing some crazy shit all week. And then, to start off the week, okay, so Monday, to start off my week, I think I had a pretty good day at work last Monday, as I remember. It was a pretty good day. Then, Monday night, I get ready to watch Monday Night Raw, as I usually do on Monday nights. I think I slept past the first 10 minutes of Raw, so I missed the very beginning. Then I woke up, and I turned to Raw, and I turned it, to USA. And what do I see but your Universal Champion Roman Reigns? He was in the ring, and he was basically relinquishing the title. I can't even say the word. He was giving up the Universal title. And at first, I didn't really, since I didn't catch the beginning of, what he was saying, I didn't understand what was going on. But apparently, Roman Reigns' real name, Joe, I can't say his last name, his real last name, is Samoan, but his real name, Joe, apparently is suffering from leukemia. And, he had leukemia. He got diagnosed with leukemia actually 11 years ago. He was diagnosed with leukemia and went into remission, and apparently it's back. And Roman had to give up the Universal title, and he has to step away from the WWE for an undisclosed amount of time. Who knows how long? Probably, for the time being, to fight leukemia, which is basically blood cancer. It's cancer of the blood. That's what leukemia is. It's very, very serious. It's life-threatening. There's no cure for it. Just like most cancer, there is no cure for it. And who knows if Roman will ever be able to wrestle again. But that's the least of his worries, He's in a fight for his life. Something I understand very well. He has to go through treatments and probably endless amount of tests before he can even think about being able to wrestle again. But if he does, I'm sure he wants to. It could be a very, very long time before we see Roman Reigns in a wrestling ring again. And watching this live on television, this really hit me, for a lot of different reasons. But it reminded me so much of the whole Owen Hart situation. Remember when Owen Hart died? Well, a lot of y'all that watch wrestling will. People that don't watch wrestling won't know what I'm talking about. But famous Canadian wrestler Owen Hart tragically died in the middle of the ring after a stunt went wrong. And then that's how Monday Night Raw, the night after his death, that's how it started with the announcers reporting that Owen Hart had passed away. And then, there's been a lot of tragedy in wrestling. Brian Pillman, the whole Chris Benoit murder-suicide thing where Chris killed himself and his wife and kids. So, as a wrestling fan, we're used to tragic news right at the beginning of the show. We've seen it many, many times over and over again. But this really hit home, this leukemia and cancer thing. Whether you like Roman Reigns, I know a lot of y'all don't care for him or didn't care for him before this happened. It really hit home for a lot of us because a lot of us have either went through cancer ourselves or we know somebody that's went through it or, we have someone in our family that went through, have dealt with cancer. So it really hit home. It's something that's not really funny or something you should joke about. And it hit me like dead center in the heart. I really teared up watching the whole Roman Reigns promo because not many people know about it. It's not something that I've had made public or shared with a lot of people. I had talked to maybe less than 5 people even knew about it. But I'm dealing with it myself. I'm actually my brain tumor is malignant again, and I'm dealing with cancer in my spinal cord and brain cancer. My cancer that had went into remission years ago, much like Roman Reigns, has returned. And so listening to Roman talk very personal about his situation and talk very honestly about his situation, it really hit me hard. It made me want to cry right there while I was watching it. And so then, I had to go on Facebook and make a lengthy post. And I thought it was time for me to be honest. I've known about my own situation for about a month. But since the end of September, right at the beginning of October. And I just didn't, I haven't said anything. I've been just carrying on with my life, going to work, being petty, dealing with my mom, my niece, and my nephew. And I really haven't said a lot, even to members of my own family. I never went public with it. I was going to keep it to myself for as long as I could, for as long as I had to. I really wasn't going to go into much detail about it, but after seeing the whole Roman Reigns thing, I felt like, it was time to be honest and open about my situation. I have been given 7-8 months, but, that's something that happened to me before, 11 years ago, 2007. The doctors diagnosed me with 7-8 months to live. And that was 11 years ago. Obviously, that didn't pan out the way they thought it would. So maybe this time, there's no reason for me to believe that this time it won't either. I've been getting my treatments every week. I'm taking my other medications. And there's no reason that I won't be able to beat this. So don't feel too bad for me. It's okay to pray for me. I appreciate everybody praying for me and all the love that I got after I posted that on Monday. And all the love that I've gotten this week. People that I haven't talked to in a long time. Maybe even some people that I fell out with, reached out to me and were like, hey, I know we're not close or sometimes... In some cases, with people that I'm not really even close to, people are just on my Facebook friend list. But they message me and say, hey, if you need anything, just let me know. And I believe, sometimes people just say that, but I believe some of these people really mean it. Because they took the time to reach out to me personally. And it means a lot to me. And if I didn't tell you that, I want to tell you now, it means a lot to me. I would shout out some of those people, but I don't know if they probably don't want their name shouted out. But, people like Vanessa and people like Erica and, certain individuals that really, your kind words mean a lot to me. And I'm not going to cry while I'm doing this podcast because that was one of my rules where I recorded this episode. I don't want it to be just this down, somber episode. I'm not going to cry, but, let's just say a lot of people reached out to me. And it means a lot, for people to care. I know that's probably helping Roman out right now, that all the people in WWE, all the fans, everybody's getting a lot of support, and he should. I never really personally, I never hated the Roman Reigns character. I always thought, I won't say I never hated the character. The character I haven't always loved, but Roman Reigns, the man, he always was a hard worker. You know, he seems like a good father, a good friend, a good leader in the locker room, and I always liked the guy. I never really had a problem with Roman Reigns, unlike some people. You can go back and look at past videos that I've done and podcasts and past posts. I haven't had too much negative to say about Roman Reigns. I know a lot of other people didn't really care for him. And to know that this whole time, Roman has been, he's always had leukemia. Just because it went into remission doesn't mean he doesn't have it anymore. I had to explain that to a coworker the other day when I was talking about my own situation. Just because it goes into remission, there's no cure for it. It's cancer. It never goes away. So no matter what you do, you're always going to have it. But to know that Roman always had this, and, even when people were really hating on him, even when he got in trouble and got suspended, when he violated the wellness policy a couple years back, and to know that he was always dealing with this, and he never once used it, he never once pulled the sympathy card and used it to his advantage, and used it for people to like him. He never mentioned it. This was never brought up. Before he announced this Monday night, I read a lot on the internet, and, I research a lot of stuff, but before he revealed this Monday night, I don't think this had ever been disclosed anywhere about, his medical situation. So big ups to Roman, big props to Roman Reigns. My prayers are with him. Just like I'm praying for myself and my own situation, I pray for Roman Reigns and his family. And that I'm sure he'll be able to overcome this. And, hopefully in a year, maybe 2 years, we see him back in the WWE ring. I don't expect him to come back anytime soon. I don't expect to see him wrestle in 2019, but 2020 or 2021, it's definitely possible you could see him back. And hopefully he'll be back on top again. But moving on from that, and like I said, talking about my own situation, I went and I posted what I posted. And once I posted it, it was up there. So, now people know. And now, all week long, people have been treating me differently. Asking me if I'm okay. People that wouldn't normally, there are some nice people that always ask me, hey, John, how are you doing or whatever. But then there are people that never talk to me in any kind of way. They've been coming up to me this week, are you okay? And all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm okay. If you see me at work or if you see me walking around anywhere, I'm okay. Trust me, I'm all right. I'm not okay. Obviously I have a malignant tumor inside my brain that they can't remove, along with hundreds of other little tiny cysts. And it's very, very, it's a very, very serious thing, but I can still function. I can still go to work and do my job for the time being, until it starts getting worse to the point where I can't, which may happen in a few months, but I'm not there yet. The hardest part that I've been dealing with are my treatments, because they've been taking a lot out of me. And I expected them to take a lot out of me, but I didn't expect them to be as bad, or for me to, I didn't expect my chemo treatments to be kicking my ass as much as they have been this time. It's been rough, I'm not gonna lie. No radiation this time, not yet anyway, but the chemotherapy, just the chemicals, been making me really sick. Haven't had much of an appetite this week. It's been rough, but regardless of whatever's going on, I'm doing what I can to get myself healthy and do what I gotta do. I'm taking care of myself. Because that's one good thing about having gone through this before, and technically it's my third time going through it, is that I know what to expect. As whereas the first time, you go through the treatments and you go through the going to the doctor's appointments and not knowing what to expect or how much time you got, you really, you're not as concerned about it this time. You know what to do, you know what to deal with, and it's just easier. But the one thing that I wanted to work on this time is I just wanted to be more open with my situation and more honest with people. I was talking about it at work the other day. People were asking me questions about it, and I was trying to answer their questions as honestly as I can, but it is hard to talk about. It is a serious situation. So if you come up on me and ask me questions, I don't mind talking about it, but it's difficult to deal with and difficult to think about that, hey, 5-6 months from now, I might not even be here. But that's with anybody, tomorrow's never promised. None of us know how much time we got. We could get hit by a car tomorrow. So that's with everybody. So I try to look at it that way instead of just look at it like I'm dying or I'm wasting away or that, I'm going to pass away at any time. I try to look at it like nobody knows how much time they got. But, try to transition away from this. I just don't want to talk about this a whole episode. But, a lot of things are going on. Obviously the Roman Reigns thing was the big news of the week for WWE. They got their WWE Evolution event in just a few hours. I'm going to watch that live on WWE Network for $9.99 if you don't have WWE Network. It's an all-women's pay-per-view event. It's kind of a big deal. A lot of people are talking about it. I'm actually excited to watch this, even though there has been other pay-per-views. TNA has been doing that for years. Total Nonstop Action. And, there have been other promotions that have done all-women, all-female pay-per-views. But this is the first one done by WWE. I can't even talk today. This is the first one done by WWE, and it's kind of a big deal. So I'm looking forward to that. The main event, Ronda Rousey versus Nikki Bella. How much I love Ronda Rousey. I'm probably the biggest Ronda Rousey mark of all time. I'm a big Ronda Rousey fan. So I'm looking forward, to see her perform in her first main event. You think about it, this is her first pay-per-view that she's ever main evented. So it's kind of a big deal for Ronda to, showcase what she can do against the Bellas, those do-nothing Bellas. And there are a lot of other good matches. Charlotte and Becky Lynch, that should be really good. So I'm going to watch that tonight. And try, when I watch WWE, when I watch any kind of wrestling, I try to turn my mind off for a few hours and just focus on the entertainment and on being entertained. That's what I try to do at this show. I try to entertain people and inform people. Sometimes I like to make you think. Sometimes I like to make you laugh. But mostly just so you can just listen to something and stop thinking about whatever's bothering you. Obviously, most of y'all know what's bothering me. Because I've done nothing but talk about it in great detail this week. But tonight, I'm just going to try just to enjoy that. Also, Walking Dead comes on tonight, brand new episode. I might switch away from Evolution and watch that because 2 more episodes and Rick Grimes, Andrew Lincoln, will be gone from Walking Dead. This is kind of a big deal. They announced it last Sunday night that he would have 2 more episodes tonight, and then next week will be his final episode. Are they going to kill Rick Grimes? It sure does look like they're going to kill him. There's a lot of evidence that would support that they're going to kill his character off. I don't know, though. I'm starting to doubt it. I've been going back and forth or whether or not they're going to kill Rick for a while now. It's just, to me, it seems like it's too obvious that they're going to kill him off to me. So it makes me think that he might leave the show in another way. Like, he might his character might leave in another way to where he's not dead, to where he can come back at a later time. But then, I don't know. They might actually kill Rick here. These next 2 episodes, AMC sure is doing this right, because they have got my interest up. And last season, I was off the Walking Dead train. I was like almost totally done with that show. But this season, because Lauren Cohan, who plays Maggie, is leaving, and because Andrew Lincoln is leaving, I've really got interested in it again. Another show that I've been really getting into lately is American Horror Story Apocalypse. It's really, really good. It's getting really, really good. I don't know if a lot of y'all watch that, but if you have not watched that, I don't know if it's on Hulu. It probably is, but you got to get caught up on American Horror Story Apocalypse. I think FX has an app. You can probably go on and download that and watch all the past episodes. It's really getting good, because it's really crossing the American Horror Story Coven and American Horror Story Murder House, and then it's some American Horror Story Hotel in it too. Some characters from all those shows are on this one season, so it's really, really lit. I can't explain it. If you've never seen American Horror Story, there's no point in me really talking about this, because you're not going to understand what the hell I'm talking about. But it's really, really good. Those are really, Walking Dead and American Horror Story are the 2 main shows that I'm into right now. I've been watching Flash and Arrow. I seen the new Charmed. I can't really get into the new Charmed. It's okay, but it's just not my old Charmed. It's not my Prue, Phoebe, and Piper, or Piper, Phoebe, and Paige, whichever 3 you like. Those new girls, I can't really get into that. Then they got the new Sabrina the Teenage Witch that just premiered on Netflix. I finally, shout out to Edwin, I finally finished Daredevil, season 3. So far they have not announced that they're canceling any more Netflix superhero shows. So maybe Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and maybe The Punisher. Maybe they're safe for now. But Daredevil was amazing. Go watch that if you haven't watched that on Netflix. And then that new Sabrina show, which what is it called? The Chilling something of it's the new Sabrina the Teenage Witch show. If you go into Netflix and type in Sabrina, that shit will come up. I can't think of the name of the show. It's not called Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but it's basically a reboot, but it's like a more serious, darker reboot than the comedy that used to come on TGIF with my girl, what's her name? Melissa Joan Hart. I met Melissa Joan Hart in Enterprise Nursing Home years ago. Her husband, I think it was her former husband. I don't think she's still married to this dude. But her husband at the time, his grandmother, was on Hall 6 at the nursing home. And a lot of y'all that worked at the nursing home back then, you'll remember this, so you know I'm not lying. But anyway, her husband's grandmother was at the nursing home, and I actually met Melissa Joan Hart, who played Sabrina the Teenage Witch in the 90s. And was that show on in the early 2000s? I know it was on in the 90s. And, earlier in the 90s, she was Clarissa from Clarissa Explains It All. Remember that show? You're in your 30s, and you got some responsibilities right now. If you remember Clarissa Explains It All. That was on Nickelodeon. That's old school Nickelodeon. That's, a lot of us in our mid-30s remember that. But I met her. She was really nice, and she was pretty, and, she smelled great. I remember that. I always remember a person's smell when I meet them. I'm weird like that, I guess. It sounded creepier than I intended. But she's really, really nice lady. And basically, I'm getting off topic. I'm kind of rambling a little bit here. But this show is a reboot of that, but like a more serious reboot. And I watched the first episode, and it wasn't. It looks like it could be good. I think I could get into it. The new girl she's no Melissa Joan Hart, but few people are. But yeah, so those are the things that I'm watching right now. If you want to go check any of those shows out, you will enjoy them. Also, there's people like blowing their horns out here. Sorry if you hear that. But yeah. So anyway, I'm going to talk about one more thing, then I'm going to wrap this show up. I want to give some shout outs too at the end of the show. But I'm going to do the shout outs at the end of the show this time, because I noticed that if I do the shout outs at the beginning and I say I shouted people out, they'll just listen to the point where I shouted them out at, and they won't listen to the whole show. But I want people to listen to the whole episode this time. So I'll do some shout outs at the end of the show to some of my friends. But the last thing I want to talk about, going back into WWE again, I'm sorry if you're not a wrestling fan, and you don't care about wrestling, but the other of the big WWE thing besides Roman Reigns, announcing that he has leukemia, is the WWE Crown Jewel event. I talked about this a little bit last week on episode 31, but I really didn't get into it. So basically, WWE Crown Jewel is in Saudi Arabia. It's very, very controversial because, there was an American reporter who went over to Saudi Arabia and he was killed by the Saudi Arabia government and, the whole royal family. They basically murdered this guy and tortured him. And so it's a very, very controversial thing for WWE to be going over there, and they're going over there. They made a final decision this past Friday, I think, and they're going over there. They haven't changed their minds about going. They're going over there, and just about a week from now, I forget the date. It's like the 8th of November or something like that. It might even be like the 2nd or 3rd of November, but they're going. Next week, they will be over in Saudi Arabia for WWE Evolution, which I think is a big mistake. I talked about that in the last episode, about how I feel like WWE should not be going over there, not during this time, but these people are basically offering WWE $50 million, and they're not going to turn down that kind of money, which, when you think about how much money $50 million is, you think about how much money $1 million is, and then times 50. You can kind of understand why they're not, why they're, going. And it's not only for the $50 million deal they got this year, it's for, the next 10 years, the deals they can have with the Saudi Arabia and the Saudi Arabia people. So, it's a controversial thing. I don't think they should go. Do I understand why they're going? I do. Am I going to watch it? Yes, I am. I'm probably going to watch it. I mean, it's in Saudi Arabia, so it's going to be one of those events that comes on at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't think it's like Australia. They're not that far ahead of us, but it's one of those events that come on in the morning. Now, I'll watch it. I'll check it out. It's a pretty stacked card. How can you not check it out and be a wrestling fan? But I don't agree with it. But it's just one of those things where Vince McMahon and WWE, they really did choose the money over, doing what was right. I don't think they should be going. I think if they want to make a moral stand, now is the time for them to do it. But I understand, I'm not a simpleton. I understand from a business perspective why they have to do it. But I just wish people would stop trying to defend them, stop trying to defend WWE and acting like, somebody on a motorcycle somewhere. Stop trying to defend WWE and acting like this isn't all about the money, because that's what it's all about. It's all about the money. It's a money thing. There's a lot that goes into it. And so they're basically going for that money. So, it is what it is. They're going for the money, and it's just one of those things where it doesn't make WWE or professional wrestling look good, and professional wrestling hasn't looked good in many, many years. It has like a dark stigma that, when you tell people you're a wrestling fan, they kind of give you like the side eye for liking pro wrestling. It's okay to like a lot of other things like football or baseball or basketball, but when you tell people you're a pro wrestling fan, there's a lot of people that they still don't accept that. They think it's like a barbaric thing. And it doesn't make it look any better for you to be going over to Saudi Arabia. So that whole situation, it is what it is. But like I said, it's 3 days before Halloween. A lot of y'all are going to be going trick-or-treating. A lot of y'all went trick-or-treating over the weekend. They had a thing in Henderson Park. In Enterprise, and a lot of y'all are gonna. You notice how people don't really go trick or treating like they used to on Halloween. What I mean by that is, door to door. You really don't see people go door to door like they did when we were kids or when I was a kid 100 years ago. We used to go door to door, and then we'd go to like all the supermarkets and stores and shopping centers and all that, but we would go door to door, and it was trick-or-treating wasn't like an hour thing. It was like an all-night thing. It was like 9, 10 o'clock at night. You start out at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and for the next 3 to 4 hours, you'd be trick-or-treating. There was no like curfew. If there was a curfew when I was a kid, I don't remember. And I lived in Enterprise, so we probably didn't adhere to it anyway. We probably didn't listen to it. We trick-or-treated until, late into the night. But I want to tell this one story about when I was a kid and when I used to trick-or-treat. I can remember one Halloween vividly, and I will never, ever, 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 ever forget this as long as I live. I don't care how many cysts I get in my brain, how many tumors I get in my brain. I don't care if I get Alzheimer's. I will never forget this. Is one time my dad, John Mays, Sr., he had took me trick-or-treating. I had to be about 9, 10. I don't remember how old I was, but it was one of the last times I went trick-or-treating, so I had to be like 9, 10, maybe 11. And he took me trick-or-treating, and I had on my costume. Obviously, I don't remember a whole lot about it. I don't remember what I was dressed up as, but it probably was like a werewolf, or, we didn't have a lot of money growing up, so I didn't have the really good costumes, but I would always, my parents, they always got me the costume and the mask or whatever, and I went trick-or-treating. But anyway, I remember my dad took me, and we went to this one particular house. I guess they were having a Halloween party that night, and this person, so some teenagers, it was a teenage Halloween party. Let me get it straight. And knocked on the door, and I said, trick or treat. And I remember this teenage kid, he had to be like 17, 18 years old. He threw some underwear in my bag, like some used underwear in my Halloween bag. And, then they basically slammed the door. And I just remember that because my dad flipped out. And basically, they almost had to call the police on my daddy that night because he lost his shit when that happened. My sister won't remember this because she had to be a baby when this happened. I think she was here, but she was too little to go trick-or-treating. But I'll just remember that. That was one of the last times I ever went trick-or-treating. My dad lost it on those people that night. And they were just like kids. They were just teenagers trying to be funny. But by throwing the underwear in my bag, my father, John Mays, did not find the humor in it. He did not think it was funny. And he was a pretty, good-natured guy. My dad, he died of brain cancer, himself. And so he was a good-natured guy. But when you pissed him off and when he lost it, I guess I am a lot like my father because I'm the same way. I'm all about the jokes and all about having a good time until you piss me off, and then I'll lose it. Just like my dad, just like John Mays, and actually have cancer just like he did. Oh, wow. I didn't even realize. I just had like an epiphany about how much I'm like my father. Live on this show, live on Johnny Knows Best, I just had an epiphany about my father and me. And I'm following basically in his footsteps in a lot of ways, except I don't have a family. Not yet. And who knows if I will, get to have a family. I hope I will, but who knows if I'm going to be able to beat this. I don't know. As I'm recording this on Sunday, October 28th, I don't know if I'm going to beat this. I don't know if I'm going to be around a year from now. But that's one reason why I started this podcast a couple years ago, and why, I started to do it again this past week ago when I started doing it again, is because I want there to be some kind of record of me. Something that lives on after I'm long gone. Something that people can, go on YouTube and type in Johnny Knows Best, and they can pull this up and pull up all the old episodes and go back and listen to who I am, to know that I try to put all of myself into this show. This show is basically just, like I said last week, it's basically Jonathan Mays in audio form. So I think one way for me to live on is, long after I'm gone, this podcast will still exist somewhere, whether it's on Spreaker, whether it's on Facebook and Facebook Memories, whether it's on YouTube. It's going to be on YouTube forever. But every time I publish one, it automatically goes to YouTube. So you'll be able to listen to me. And all my friends and family will be able to listen to how petty I was, how funny I was, how tough I was, all the way to the end. And how, I didn't let this cancer thing beat me. And I'm not going to let it beat me. I'm going to beat it. Somehow, some way, I'm going to defeat it. And if I don't, there'll be a record of how I was. But anyways, I just want to give a shout out to my friend Russell Burwell. He was the first person to tell me that a couple years ago when I started doing this. He thought it was a good idea for me to do in case I don't survive, because he said that, it's good for there to be a record of me so that somebody somewhere, maybe years and years and years from now, will know that I existed and know that, I think this show could help other people dealing with the same thing, dealing with cancer. So shout out to Russell. Shout out to Frank D. Wilson and Julius Williamson, Big Will, who I always share my podcast. Shout out to them. Shout out to anybody. Jennifer Mays, my sister, who always listens. Shout out to Natalie Chapman, my good friend Natalie, who always listens. I hope she listens. She tells me she does. Shout out to Tiffany McGoy, my best friend Tiffany, for such a long time. I love her dearly. I've been meaning to have a conversation with Tiffany, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But I'm going to get around to it soon. Maybe she'll be on the show soon. I wanted to ask her that if she wanted to do the show with me. Yeah, man. My name is Jonathan Mays. I do have cancer. I do have a brain tumor. It's very, very serious, but I'm not going to let it beat me. I'm not going to let it steal my sense of humor. I'm not going to let it steal my pettiness. I'm not going to let it steal from who I am as a person. I won't let that happen. Shout out to Melissa. Shout out to Marissa. Melissa and Marissa. I'm here for as long as I'm here. And when I'm not here anymore, then I won't be here anymore. But I hope you will continue to listen to this show. I'm sorry if it wasn't as funny as I hoped that this episode would be. But it's not always going to be funny. Sometimes life isn't funny. Sometimes it's serious. Sometimes you got to deal with it. Just like Roman Reigns. Sometimes you got to step up and deal with it. And God bless everyone. God bless you all. And thank you for listening. I'll holler.